Hello everyone, welcome to the concept of sacrifices. Now, sacrifices is one of the most interesting topics in chess. And what does a sacrifice mean? In absolutely basic terms, sacrifices means just giving up some material and delivering a massive blow, or you can say delivering a checkmate. And sacrificing is often fun. When you're attacking, sacrifices seems a lot of fun, but it is important to sacrifice effectively, because many times what happens is you may sacrifice at the wrong moment, or you know what, you can make a lot of mistakes in sacrificing, and incorrect sacrifices will just lead you to lose the game. So in this video we are going to learn some fundamental principles while sacrificing. For example, of course, you have your intuition, you have to trust your intuition when sacrificing. And one of the most important rules is that make sure that the sacrifice is concrete. Now, what do I mean when I say make sure that the sacrifice is concrete? So make sure to sacrifice only when you are about to deliver a checkmate, or you are going to have a huge advantage materially. So without wasting much time, let us go to the first position. So guys, in the first position, it is white to move. You can see that you have the queen, the knight, and the bishop staring at the opponent's king. And also, when you are thinking about sacrificing, it is important that you have to have a clear vision and you have to be tactically very alert. So in this position, if you thought of a sacrifice like knight takes g7, then this is absolutely wrong, because okay, of course, if black takes with the king, you still have some chances, because then you can take this with a check and you can, let's say, win the bishop or win the rook or try to give some checkmate. But again, in this position, if black takes it with the knight, the queen is now defending the h6 pawn, and you have nothing left in the position and you are completely losing. So in this position, again, if you found the move knight takes h6, and after g takes h6, if you play queen h6 king g8, well, you know what, now the bishop is unable to come in the game, and there are often some defensive ideas for black. For example, getting the knight to g7, attacking the queen. For example, if you think over here, you can play a move like f4 and get the rook into the attack, but you are just too slow. So over here, if you found the correct sequence, the correct move over here is to play the move bishop takes h6. And now if black does not take this bishop, then you are threatening bishop g7 with a check, and you are winning the game. So it is important to find the correct sacrifice, because you have to be tactically very alert. Now the difference between knight h6 and bishop h6 is that after you take g takes h6, now you have a forced checkmate sequence after queen h6, king g8 and knight e7, which is a beautiful checkmate. So make sure that your sacrifice is concrete, which is the most important rule, and you have to have a clear vision, and your tactics have to be alert. You cannot just go and sacrifice anything and at any time when you feel like. So over here, it is important to find the move bishop h6, because this is the best way to continue, and there is a forced checkmate sequence if black accepts the material. And if he doesn't, for example, if he plays a move like say f6 or some random move, then he loses this pawn with a check. The king cannot take it, the king has to come up, and you know what, after queen h6 check and something, maybe, like, you can play anything in this position. You can even play a move like queen g5 check, and the point of the sacrifice is you were able to win 2 pawns. So as we said in the starting, sacrifice either when you are about to deliver a checkmate. I mean, sacrifice when it's concrete, and when I said it's concrete, it means either when you are winning material or you're about to deliver a checkmate. Moving on to the next puzzle, and guys, do pause the video and try to come up with the solution before seeing the answers. In this position, again, you know what, it is white to move. Your bishop is active, your rook is active, your queen is staring at the black king. Now over here, if you play a slow move, for example, let's say you, and also guys, one more thing, that is important to note is that black is threatening to take on your pawn. The e5 pawn is under attack. So if you play a small like no a slow move, for example, you bring the other rook to the attack, well, now black can simply take this pawn. The knight and the bishop are defending the g7 square, and black is actually better in this position. So it is important to be very alert, and in this position you can actually sacrifice the rook. Rook takes g7. Now you're threatening a mate in one, that is queen takes h6. So black has to take the rook, and if he takes it with the king, then you get the other rook into the play with rook to g4 check. And after king h8, you have queen h6 checkmate, and after rook takes g7, if he takes it with the knight, then there is a very simple mate of queen h6 and queen h7. So over here it was important to realize that the bishop is open, the rook is open. You cannot play a slow move because black is also attacking the pawn. And over here, if you came up with some ideas like f4, I mean, f4 is also a good move. It's not a bad move, but the point is that you are just too slow. And over here, when you have a tactical blow, when you can sacrifice, it is important to be very, very, very alert when you have these chances, because when playing a game you don't get such chances often. In positions like this, you feel that okay, some sacrifices is not working, so you have to trust your intuition. If you play a move like f4, of course the game will go on and you have missed your chance, because in a game of chess you don't get chances in every move. So guys, coming to the next puzzle, it is black to move over here. And as I said, before doing a sacrifice, one of the most important thing is you have to trust your intuition. So for example, in a position like this, you see that the white king can be blasted open, because your bishop is attacking, your queen is there, your other bishop is there, your rook can come in, this rook is open. So of course, in positions like this, your intuition tells you that, what, just go and sacrifice. Now over here, if you came up with the move bishop takes g3, then it is still correct. You can actually sacrifice however you want. But in this position, after a move like bishop takes h3 check, if black takes the bishop, now you just take the pawn on f2, and you don't even have to calculate in such positions, because the rook is guarding the second rank, the queen is blocking the king from coming here, the king is caged over here, and in a position like this you don't even need to calculate, because checkmate is about to come at any moment. So in stuff like this, what it is, like, personally I don't even calculate in these positions, because when you have a position like this where all your opponent's pieces are away from the king, they are too slow to come and defend. For example, the knight cannot come here and try to defend, the queen is not being able to defend the king. So in positions like this, out of intuition, I just go and sacrifice, and this is the best way to continue. You can take on g3, you can take on h3, both of them are fine. For example, if you take on g3, if f takes g3, over here again the same idea, guys. Bishop takes h3, it has to be played in the position, because after you take king h3, the very important move over here is to get the rook, and you are just guarding everything, and you know what, checkmate is about to follow. So it is important that you have to back yourself, you have to trust your intuition, and of course guys, the most important thing is you have to ensure that all your pieces are in the play. So guys, coming to the next position, in this position the black's king is messy, his pawns are advanced. Now over here, if you thought of some ideas like to play queen to h3 or h4, well, they are good ideas, but over here you have a very concrete sacrifice, because you can just take on g5, and after hg5 queen g5, you are threatening a checkmate like this. Like in such a position you don't even need to calculate, because what, your rook is going to swing over. And even in this position, if black tries to play a move like knight c3, blocking your rook, there are many ways to continue, because this bishop and rook are active. You don't even need to think, you can actually think of some ideas like, what, you can just play a move like rook f3, rook f4, rook f6, and what, get to the h file, and give a check. You can also play a move like bishop to d3. The idea is to play queen at 6, queen at 7, and in such positions you can also just give a check first, and once the king comes in, then you can get your rook out. There are a lot of ways to continue, and a position like this does not even require thinking, because whenever you get a picture like this in a game or in the previous puzzle like we saw, like when you have a position like this, you don't even have to think. Like after this position, you know that at some moment you are going to checkmate. Similarly, in a situation like this, these are like picture perfect positions where you know that all the moves are going to lead to mate and your opponent is not going to survive long. So guys, in the previous few puzzles we learned that in order to sacrifice, you either trust your intuitions, you back yourself, and you have to find a concrete plan. Now, one question that arises is that do you actually need to sacrifice or is it unnecessary? No, the one big question is the sacrifice necessary? And that is the most important question you have to answer. So let us come to this position where it is white to move. Your queen can jump into the attack. Your rooks are very strong. The knight is there. The bishop is having an open file. So in this position, do you play a move like knight takes g7? No, of course, if you take with the king, this is very bad, because after queen g5 check, the king goes to h8, and after a move like rook g3, white is close to winning. But of course, black is going to take it with the bishop, and now this position is kind of unclear, because you can play queen g5, but black is in time to defend. For example, black can play a move like rook to e6, trying to guard the sixth rank, even maybe knight to e7, uh, and g6. But the point over here is the sacrifice necessary? So here we come to the next concept. Over here in this position, the best move is actually to play the move queen to g5, and you don't sacrifice a piece immediately, but now you are threatening some stuff like like knight to h6 check. The pawn on f7 is weak. So here we come to an important concept of free attack, that is an attack without sacrificing pieces versus sacrificing. Now, it is important to understand that when you sacrifice a piece, there is huge responsibility, because you are giving up material, and if the sacrifices does not work, you are going to end up in a position with less material and a close to losing situation. Whereas when you play a move like queen g5, it is a free attack, and the advantage about free attack is that even if your attack does not work, let's say it does not go out as planned, at least you are not down on material and you still have a fighting position. The material is still equal and it is still playable. So guys, always remember, free attack is always better than attacking with a sacrifice. So you have to be very alert, and you should know that when a free attack is better than playing with a sacrifice. For example, in this position, if you sacrifice a knight, bishop g7, you are not at all winning over here, because you cannot see some clear tactics, or you don't have a vision how to continue. Yes, you can play queen g5, but after rook e6, you know what, your ideas of rook g3 can be met very easily by rook g6. You know what, black is ready to give up an exchange, and now white literally has no attack, and now you are playing an inferior position, because you are going to play a position where your opponent is going to have two minor pieces for your rook. So over here, instead you play a move like queen g5, and let's say if he plays g6, you can already play knight h6 check, and now this pawn is hanging and white is still going to win. And this is a much easier position to play than the one we saw when you sacrifice the knight. So guys, one very important concept is that a free attack, that is an attack not involving any sacrifices, is always better than playing with a sacrifice. Following up with the same concept, in this position it is white to move, and my question to you is, would you play a move like bishop h7 check? Well, if your answer is yes, then you should try to understand that after king h7, all your pieces here, they are not in the attack. You only have one piece in the attack, that is the queen. So the point is, you don't have enough resources to continue. I mean, if you say that, okay, you know what, I can get my knight to d2, f3, g5 and launch an attack, well, that is just too slow, because black on the other hand can also play knight e7, knight g6 and come to defense. So in a position like this, you of course, it is too ambitious to play a move like bishop h7, and to be honest, it's a move that's going to lose you the game immediately. Now let us look at the same position, but now our pieces over here are active. You know what, your rook is here, your knight can now suddenly go to g5, h5, you know what, and the rook can come in into the g file, h file. Now in a position like this, as we said, you know what, completely based on intuition, you can just go and sacrifice the bishop, because if he takes king h7, there are many ways to continue. You can play a check, you can even go knight over here, and everything is going to win for you. For example, you can even play a move like knight g5 check, and once the king goes, now you can play a move like, let's say, queen to h5, and the mate is unstoppable. So always remember, guys, before you sacrifice any piece, one important question you have to ask yourself is, do you see a concrete way how to continue? Do you have some tactics? Do you have a clear vision? And secondly, do you have enough resources to continue? For example, in the previous position, after bishop h7, king h7, we see that you only have a sole queen. The lonely queen cannot go and attack the black king. You need more resources. Whereas in the very next position, after bishop h7, the point is your knight can come to g5. You can even play a move like knight h5. Your queen is coming to h5, and you have a lot of resources to continue with the attack. So that is another very important point, is that whenever you are sacrificing, whenever you're launching an attack, make sure to get your pieces into the attack. You need resources to attack. A single piece or a single queen is not enough to go and launch an attack. So guys, we come to the final position in this video. It is white to move, guys. And over here, if you think of some ideas like h4, h5, and put some pressure on the g6 pawn, well, it's a good way to continue, but the only problem is that you are too slow. Because let's say after you play a move like h4, black can, let's say, play a defensive move like knight to d7 with ideas of queen f8, and you know what, maybe it's you know it gets a bit complicated. But instead, white here has a very interesting idea where he puts the knight to e5. Now you're attacking the bishop over here, which is unguarded. And now what happens is that with the bishop unguarded, let's say black plays a move like bishop to d5, and now the point is that now you can sacrifice on the g6 square. It doesn't matter whether you take it first with the bishop or the knight. Let's say you take it with the knight, black will recapture it with one of his pawns, and it doesn't matter because in the end you now play bishop takes g6, and if you do not play anything, you know what, this is coming with a check. So the end position is going to be very simple, where you get a position like this. And now the point is that no matter where the king goes, for example, the rook is going to join into the attack. Like if he goes king f8, you have queen to f6 check, not letting the king escape. And after here, you have rook to g3 check, which is going to lead into a checkmate soon. For example, king h7, queen g7. And if the king goes to the other side, that is king to h8, over here, again, you know what, there's a beautiful checkmate. Queen h6 check, the king has to come here, the rook comes, and queen g7 is a checkmate. So guys, over here we learned that so in the last few positions, we've learned some important concepts, that before sacrificing, you have to be intuitive, you have to have a concrete plan. We also learned that a free attack, that is an attack not involving any sacrifice, is always better than an attack with a sacrifice. And guys, with this we come to the end of sacrifice. I hope I was able to explain you the fundamentals of when to sacrifice and what points to keep in mind when sacrificing. For example, you should have clear tactics, you should have a clear vision, bring all your pieces into the play, and it is very important to understand when to sacrifice. Because we also saw some examples where sacrificing was not the best way to continue, and in those examples free attack was the better way. And guys, I hope that with these fundamentals, when you play your next games, your opponent has some nightmares. And I really hope that your opponent struggles to play against you. You are able to put them in tough spots. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe the channel. And guys, in the subsequent videos, we are going to come up with more ways, more principles, how to attack effectively. Until then, thank you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.